Welcome into Out of Order, everyone. My name is Ben Mayer.
My name is Anthony Buono.
Donald Trump is a convicted felon.
He's a felon.
How crazy is that?
It's awesome.
Isn't that wild?
It's amazing.
And it's funny because so many people, including myself, I was so skeptical of this happening.
No.
I thought the cases, like, something in me just fundamentally was like, he's going to slither his way out of
Yes,
this.
I was like, he's a slimy little guy.
Yeah.
He's gonna fucking find his crack and get right through without any consequences. I also thought Alvin Bragg's case wasn't that strong,
Yeah.
which honestly kind of shows to my lack of legal knowledge.
Yeah.
Because once we actually like walk through the case as we will, it's kind of clear.
Yeah, it
right?
is clear, but it's clear, but
It's clear.
God, it is
Right.
complex.
It's clear only if you take the time.
Yes.
It's clear only if you take the time to understand it.
Which is why I don't blame anyone for not understanding it, but we're going to try to help you
Yes.
to understand how they got here.
Yes. Let's go through it.
So the story goes like this. Donald Trump had an affair with porn star Stormy Daniels in 2005.
Nice.
He was with his wife, Melania Trump, at the time.
Not nice.
He was a new father of his youngest child, Barron. And when he began his presidential campaign, she was going to go public with the story because Stormy Daniels is not a fan of Trump and didn't want him to be president. So this is where David Pecker comes in. David Pecker, who was a key witness in the case, the publisher of the National Enquirer tabloid newspaper, he had a relationship with Trump. He had helped him out before, helped him kill some stories. Trump, in return, had given him some juicy stories. So David Pecker heard about this story that Stormy Daniels was going to put out. So Pecker calls up Michael Cohen. Michael Cohen is the other really important character in this story, okay? He was Trump's lawyer and fixer. Pecker calls up Cohen and he's like, hey, Stormy Daniels is going to release this story. I think it's really going to hurt the campaign. I think it's going to hurt Trump. You should know about this. I think you should kill the story. Part of David Pecker's testimony that he gave in the trial was there's this technique called catch and kill, which is notorious where journalists or tabloid publishers will buy the rights to a story and then kill them to stay on the good side of celebrities so they can get better juicy details later on.
Not kill the people, just suppress the story. I just want to make that clear.
They don't publish the story. So Pecker suggested that Cohen and the Trump campaign pay to kill the story because Pecker had already paid for them to kill another story. It's a whole nother deal. But basically, he's like, you guys should kill this. This can really hurt the campaign. Now, this is all shady. This is really shady, right? Trump has an affair with a porn star. He is going to pay to kill the story because he wants to come out with
Let's walk through
it.
each part, actually. Had sex with a porn star. Not illegal.
No.
First part. What was the next part? Pays to shut down the story.
Yes.
Not illegal.
Yes. So thus far, we're at a not illegal point.
Not illegal.
Not illegal. Everything's legal. Where the illegality comes in is actually in all the minute, boring details. So Michael Cohen sends invoices to Trump, to the Trump organization, to get reimbursed over the course of 2017 on a monthly basis, okay? The first 3 payments come from Trump's trust, while the last 9 come from his personal account, okay? So what is Trump convicted of if he's just paying Cohen to pay Stormy Daniels to kill the story? Well, he's convicted of falsification of business records because the checks, the invoices, and the vouchers that are generated from the payments to Michael Cohen were labeled as legal expenses rather than being labeled as something for paying off Stormy Daniels. So he falsified those business records, right? Now, under New York law, falsifying records is only a felony if the offender had the intent to conceal another crime by doing so.
Okay, now we're getting somewhere.
Yes. So we have another layer here. Okay. So just mislabeling the records was not the problem. It's that he was mislabeling the records to cover up another crime. What was the other crime? Well, there's a New York election law that makes it illegal for, quote, any 2 or more persons to, quote, conspire to promote or prevent the election of any person to a public office by unlawful means.
Now we're getting somewhere.
We're still making our way there,
Yeah.
right? Because we obviously have, conspire to promote or prevent the election of any person. Yes, that's obvious. 2 or more persons conspiring. Yeah, you could say that's Trump and Cohen. It's an obvious argument to make. But what are the unlawful means they're using to promote or prevent the election of the person? that's where the judge actually, and the prosecution made the argument that there are multiple laws. There are actually 3 separate laws that you could look at as being violated in this case. And the jury actually didn't have to agree on which law was violated out of those 3. They just had to agree that one of those laws were violated, that there was some unlawful means that was used to promote or prevent the election of any person. And I think the most obvious one that was violated is the Federal Election Campaign Act, which is called FECA, and it says that campaigns have to disclose their expenditure. So a huge part of the trial was showing clearly that this payment was made in the favor of the Trump campaign.
Yes.
It was about getting him elected. And because of that, and since they didn't disclose the payment, they broke the FECA law.
Because the payment was directly in favor of the Trump campaign. It was not a personal favor for Trump. It was not for Trump's personal favor with his wife. It was specifically for helping him with the campaign. They proved this, or at least tried to, successfully proved it through Michael Cohen's testimony, saying that no, it was Donald Trump was afraid that it was going to hurt him with the woman vote, and that's why we shut the story down.
Yeah.
It's not because he was afraid of Melania hearing about it.
Yeah.
That wasn't why. It was because he was afraid of losing the woman vote.
And that was also supported by David Pecker, who was like, yeah, I helped the Trump campaign throughout because we would run bad negative stories about his opponents in the election, specifically in the primary, based on like who had done best in the debates beforehand.
That's where Ted Cruz being the Zodiac, the JFK story comes from,
yes,
right?
Exactly.
Ted Cruz's dad killing JFK came from David Pecker working with the Trump campaign to totally make that thing up.
Yes, literally. So it was obvious, and the jury convicted him, and so now he is a felon.
He's a convicted felon.
2 questions after this, right? Okay, well, we're going to be saying we're solid he is a felon.
Yeah, done.
Yeah, we think that this evidence and this process is extremely clear. We're on that. So now, given that, what does this do politically?
Politically, it's going to be very difficult for Trump, and I think he's dead in the water. I think Donald Trump is donezo, dude. I think he's donezo.
Yep.
We can analyze all the polls we want. We can look at all the swings as much as we want. Let's zoom out for a second, guys. Let's not academize this. Let's just think about this, okay? 2020, it was Joe Biden versus Donald Trump. Donald Trump was an incumbent who automatically has some type of advantage for some reasons, okay? Biden won. Now, it's the exact same race, except Trump is now a felon. I think it would be really stupid to think that Donald Trump is in a better position after being a convicted felon.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I mean, when it comes down to it, in these races, there are 2 things that you can say decide presidential elections. Turnout.
Of course.
Is Donald Trump being a convicted felon going to help turnout for Biden, hurt turnout for Biden, help turnout for Trump, hurt turnout for Trump? You could argue it's going to help turnout for Trump, but you could also argue that Trump's support is already so fervent and solid that there's nowhere that he can go as far as elevating
Trump's turnout is maxed out.
Yes.
Trump's turnout is tapped out, dude.
Totally.
No one who didn't vote in 2020 is going to go out and vote for Donald Trump now.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like if you voted for Donald Trump if you didn't vote for Donald Trump in 2016 or 2020 and you didn't vote at all, you're not coming out of your house to vote this time.
No.
That's not happening.
I don't think so.
You're not voting for Donald Trump for the first time in 2024. You know what I mean?
Because he's a felon.
Because he's a felon.
Yeah. No, I think if anything, and I think maybe it does help Biden's turnout because Trump's a felon.
Right.
Let's vote to get him out.
Stop the felon.
Yeah. And I'll say one poll that did come out like immediately after the conviction that said 10% of Republicans are less likely to vote for Trump now and 25% of independents. And it's that independent number that I think is really the dagger.
It's just brutal, dude.
Yeah.
It's brutal. I mean, you can't win that much. There's the persuadable vote, dude. And if you lose that much of the persuadable vote, you just can't.
You can't win the election.
You can't win the election. Like I know Biden is unpopular and his approval rating sucks. I get that.
Yeah.
But dude, at the end of the day, I don't think the approval really matters that much when you're running against a felon. I just don't buy it.
I agree. And there's also general kind of theories about this race that say that what matters is not Biden. What matters is Trump.
Yes.
Right? It doesn't really matter as much that Biden is unpopular because he's running against Trump. And I think almost everyone's vote is defined by Trump in this election.
And I agree with that.
Yeah.
I agree with that. And so because of that, you can come back to this video in a couple months when the election's over. It's going to be the same exact map as 2020, except plus North Carolina for Biden. That's what I think is going to happen. I think Joe Biden's going to gain like 1.5% in the popular vote nationally, and he's going to get North Carolina from it.
So crazy because he already won the popular vote by so much.
He won by what?
7 points?
Seven?
6, 7
Was it
points?
6, 7? Wow.
It's around there. I was looking at it today.
Like, I don't buy that we've gotten closer. You know, especially since now low turnout elections favor Democrats.
Mm-hmm.
We're not having the same voter turnout as 2020.
No.
2020 was an anomaly of voter turnout, everyone being locked in their house for a year.
Yeah.
And having nothing else to do but consume media.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is not 2020.
Mm-mm. Okay.
Yes.
Moving on.
Moving on from political.
One other question is, how much does this undermine the courts?
Oof. Well, here's my thing. I don't think the disbelief in the courts is disconnected from the love of Trump. What do I mean by that? If 5 years from now, Ted Cruz gets convicted of a felony, I don't think anybody in the country is attacking the judicial system in defense of Ted Cruz.
Right.
I don't think anyone is defending the judiciary or attacking the judiciary to defend McConnell.
Mm.
You know what I mean? It's because it's Trump.
Sure.
I don't think anybody would attack the judiciary if it was Biden. I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think Democrats would drop him like a fucking rock.
Yeah, I think that's true.
Right, because no one really loves him the way people love Donald Trump.
Absolutely. My other question is, why would the conviction by a jury be so much worse than the initial indictment and putting him on trial?
Also, the indictment came from a grand jury.
Sure.
Right? So that was also a random selection of people.
But you
only needed one, I get it. Yes.
And I can just understand more people's idea of being like, this is the system.
Yes.
This is the Biden establishment that's going after him.
Even though Biden had nothing to do with the case and it was nothing to do with the federal government. But yes.
Exactly. But at this point, it is just a jury of 12 nobodies. It is. Why is this more galvanizing?
I don't
Could
know.
It be?
I think it's because it's the culmination of everything they might have feared with Trump getting convicted.
Yes.
But also, I want to point out, we know the media consumption habits of the people who are on this jury. One of the dudes on this jury, I swear to God, you can look up the New York Times article where they interviewed all of them. One of the dudes gets his news from X and Truth Social. That's what he said.
Yeah.
Dude, if you're convincing that guy to convict Trump and you're not believing it yet, bro, you're lost.
Yeah.
Lost the plot, dude. Literally a guy who gets his media from Truth Social is calling Trump a felon.
There's no way to wrap your head I don't know how you dance around that. One thing that's been scaring me is seeing how many super rich technocrats have rallied to Trump's side after this.
Yeah.
Elon Musk, David Sachs, Chamath Palihapitiya, I think it's called. These billionaires, the extremely rich Silicon Valley people, are just this is a complete travesty of justice. We've ruined the credibility of our judicial system.
Oh my God.
And I'm
by what? Treating him like a regular person?
I don't get it. Why have they tied themselves to him?
I don't know. Those tax cuts are sweet, baby. I mean, that's the only thing I can think of. I can only think of that the tax cuts are sweet.
Yeah.
All I can think of is their material advantage from a Trump presidency.
True.
I can't think of anything else.
Trump makes it more possible that this country is governed more by an oligarchy than it is by a democracy.
Of course.
So
maybe they love that shit. Who knows?
Yeah.
But he's a felon, and every Democrat should be calling him a felon. I was recently at the Democratic Party convention in Massachusetts, and every Democrat who got up and spoke talked about the convicted felon we're running against.
Really?
And I love that.
Yeah.
Because he's a felon.
Yeah, but Biden is trying to tread lightly. Politically, I think, on this.
Okay.
From what I've seen so far, he's
the
judicial system should be respected.
Yeah.
Or the judicial process. Trump was convicted, but where we really need to beat him is at the ballot box in November. He's being very, I guess high horse is the negative connotation way.
It might not
he's being
be
the bigger man.
It might not be Biden's role to be the guy going after him for the conviction.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be the lower level political hacks.
Yes.
I shouldn't say hacks, but the lower level political figures.
Like commentary.
Right. The commentary, the congressman.
Yes.
It's not supposed to be the president who's doing it.
I think so. I think so. I think it's more likely than anything to alienate some people in the middle to be like, this is more political bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah.